Some architectural constructions inspire a lot of doubts about their authenticity, and the Great Wall of China is one of them. About the purpose of the largest monument of antiquity in Asia, scientists argue until now. And the question of who actually belongs to the Great Wall of China repeatedly pops up in various historical sources. So, what was the Chinese wall built for? And maybe it was not built by the Chinese at all. Let's find out. One of the most famous architectural structures in the world is the Great Wall of China. I think everyone has heard about it, and more than once. It's demonstratively shown on posters in school textbooks. It is like a magnet, attracts millions of tourists. This large-scale fortress structure, erected in the northern part of China since the 17th century, is an architectural symbol of world significance. But is ancient China really involved in its construction? In recent years, many scientists have expressed doubts about the fact that this largest fortress structure on the planet was really built by the inhabitants of the Celestial Empire. And in general, interest in the Great Wall of China for many years have been shown by scientists from around the world. Examining ancient maps, historians have established that the fortified fortification was really built on the border of China. But inexplicable is the fact that in some parts of the wall, loopholes in the wall are located towards the Celestial Empire. Then the question arises, why would the Chinese build a wall from which it is convenient to shell the territory of their state? If you get to China, you will definitely be told about the majestic monument stretching several thousand kilometers and about the founder of the Qin dynasty, thanks to whose command more than 2 millennia ago in the Celestial Empire and was built the Great Wall of China. However, some modern scientists very much doubt that this symbol of the might of the Chinese Empire existed until the middle of the 20th century. So what do they show tourists? You say, and tourists are shown what was built only in the second half of the last century. But the real photos of the Chinese wall we will see today, I managed to find them, and at the end of the video, I will show them to you. I think we should start with the official historical version. Following it, the Great Wall was built to protect the country from the raids of nomadic peoples. But in reality, the Great Wall of China unites at least 3 major projects in different historical eras. So it was built by different rulers in different years. But let us first recall what we know from historical sources. The beginning of the construction of the Great Wall of China. 3rd century BC, although this is also not actually proven. The total length of the wall, taking into account all branches, is 21,196 kilometers. More than 1 million people were involved in the construction. For all time of erection of a wall, there died not less than 300,000 people. I think that's enough. There are enough facts. Do you know how the Chinese wall was built? According to history, it was built of rice. Well, as of rice, there were various materials including bricks, tamped earth, and stone. And as a binding solution was sticky rice mass, which is rumored to be quite a substitute for cement. By the way, the Chinese, what only with rice did not do, it even built houses using it as a building material. Glutinous rice mixed with lime, sand, and water, getting a strong and durable foundation. But agree, strange somehow it turns out that the wonder of the world, a huge wall just somehow built of rice, from the usual nomads and robbers. Historians claim that simultaneously on the construction of the Great Wall was employed up to 1 million people, and construction was accompanied by monstrous loss of life. According to other data would be, it is not clear, however, what ultimate meaning the Chinese authorities saw in the construction of the Great Wall, since China did not have the necessary military forces, not only to defend, but at least reliably control the wall throughout its length. And why build a Chinese wall somewhere in the mountains, from whom to defend there, where not only nomads on horseback, but also a foot army is unlikely to reach? Or did the strategists of the Celestial Empire fear an attack by wild tribes of mountaineers? I don't think so. Of course, the official version is simple, from nomads, Huns, Vandals, but according to the same history, China by the time of the wall was already the most powerful state in the region, and the northern peoples of that time did not have serious armies, and they could not pose a danger to the Chinese army. There is a suspicion that from a military point of view, the wall was of little use. and why the wall at a fantastic length has a relatively small height, from 3 to 8 meters, rarely where up to 10. This is much lower than in most European castles and Russian Kremlins. A strong army equipped with storming techniques, ladders, mobile wooden towers, could, choosing a vulnerable place on a relatively flat piece of terrain, overcome the wall and invade China. And the crown of fantastic absurdity, if you look closely, you can see that the wall in some places crossing mountain ranges branches, forming mockingly senseless loops and branching. Some researchers were simply struck by the blatant absurdity of this fortification. The Great Wall cannot be called super defensive because, as we see, the wall runs along the ridges of inaccessible mountains and hills, where without the wall, no army and will not pass. You know, in the mountains, it's impossible to know how old the foundations of a wall are. Over several centuries, stone buildings on ordinary soil, brought by sedimentary rocks, inevitably sink into the ground for several meters, and it is easy to check. And on the rocky ground, such a phenomenon is not observed, and a recent building is easy to pass off as very ancient. And besides, there is no numerous local population in the mountains, a potential inconvenient witness to the construction of a historical landmark. While collecting material for this video, I came across one interesting statement. Quote, "As we know, there was another, much older civilization to the north of the territory of modern China. This has been repeatedly confirmed by archaeological discoveries made in particular in eastern Siberia. The impressive evidence of this civilization, comparable to Archaim in the Urals, has not only not yet been studied and comprehended by world historical science, but has not even been properly evaluated. It is interesting, we agree, that behind this wall once could live another great nation we were not told. But the most interesting thing here is the fact that the slaughterhouses on one part of the wall are directed to the south, not to the north. That is, towards China, not away from China. I mean towards China, not the other way around. There were a lot of independent researchers who decided to test these arguments. And as it turned out, there are sections of the wall on which really teeth with loopholes are turned to the south. But there are also those where to the north and in other directions. There are also sections where the loopholes with battlements are turned in both directions. And in general, many are inclined to the version that whoever erected this wall, it was not intended for the defense of this or that state. It simply delineated the borders. It may even have been built for some mystical or idealistic reasons, not for the purpose of warfare. After all, as it turns out, tourists are usually shown one of the sections of the Great Wall located 60 kilometers northwest of Beijing. This is the area of Mount Badaling. The length of the wall is 50 kilometers. The wall is in excellent condition, which is not surprising. Its reconstruction on this section was carried out in the 50s of the 20th century. In fact, the wall was built anew, although it is claimed to be built on old foundations. The Chinese have nothing more to show. There are no other credible remnants of the allegedly existing thousands of kilometers of the Great Wall, but the photos of the real Chinese wall remained. This photo was taken in 1998 in the mountains of Yinshan, a 200-kilometer section of the Great Wall of China. And this is also part of the Great Wall of China in the city district, and there are many photos like this. And these hills are actually also the remnants of the wall. Real photos are just not shown to us, and so that you can look at them yourself and understand what the Chinese wall is in reality, and not what we are given for it. There is something to think about, and looking at them, you understand why they are so willingly not shown to ordinary tourists. The link to my Telegram, you know where it is, in the attached commentary. It already has these photos. Well, but as they say to us, the wall is visible directly from space, but I wonder what can be seen from there, because this fact none of the scientists have not confirmed, as well as not denied. Here, we can also include rumors that the wall is visible from the surface of the moon, Dacians. But here are stories that the Great Wall of China was not built by the Chinese, and another, more ancient civilization have long given many historians and scientists no rest, and perhaps it is really true. What do you think? Write a comment. I think together we will find out the truth. And of course, subscribe to the channel. Then you will be able to notice those things that others just do not see. And remember, The dawn is just around the corner. All the best.